Hello and welcome back. We're over at the workbench. So this is what I've done. I took this piece here that was crimped. I just had it pinched together with a clamp. It's now I welded it all along here, along the inside, and then I welded it along this side. So the top piece is now all one piece now. Because I had it clamped, they gave me good enough and I got it straight enough. So then on the bottom, before I had this bolted together with a bolt and a nut, so now I did a couple spot welds here, just to keep it snug against the foot itself. And then on the back, I put a weld going along here, and a weld here, and a weld down here. So I figure more welds the better. It doesn't really hurt anything. And I think from the factory, all they did was spot welds around here. Oh, I also did spot welds on this side too, just to keep it close around. So in the factory, I think all they did was spot weld here and spot weld here, and I don't think they welded here at all. So I thought, what the heck, I'm here, I might as well do welds, right? So I'm gonna clean this up with a grinder, with a wheel flapper on my grinder, which I really not going to clean up a lot. I'm just going to try to smooth it out a little bit. It doesn't really need to be. These ones I'm going to smooth flat, so we'll see how that turns out. So here and here, I'm usually never good with spot welds. So, all right, so we kind of look, it's starting to become one piece. All right, now I'm going to grind these down and come back. Alright, so surprisingly, the welds actually ground down pretty smooth. They look pretty good. This is the only part that you're actually going to see of the door pillar is right here. This is all going to be behind, but anyways. So they ground down pretty smooth, so I'm pretty happy with that. So the next piece I'm going to do is up here, which is another part you're going to see outside. There's actually, you can kind of see there's a little dimple right here going down in. So this piece here, I'm going to line up and bolt it on there because the location is where it is where it's at. So I'm just going to line it up with these holes and go with it. All right, that'll be the next step. Okay, so I want to test fit. This is part of the footwell right here, and this is the next piece I'm going to be putting on is right here. It kind of encloses this. And I wanted to see if I line this up with this curve right here, will it still hit the footwell? And it looks like it will. Be a little gap there, but I don't know if that gap there, see it right here, let's see. This gap here is normal or not, I don't know. But if I look at maybe I'll look at the rusty one too. Let me go see what that looks like. Now look at the rusty one in the same area, they actually butt up with each other pretty close. Oh, and I notice here, you see that piece is back behind the footwell? This is the old footwell. See how it's back behind there? So it looks like this needs to be on top of that. This needs to be on top of this to butt up against this. So that makes a lot more sense. So if I put this into the curve here, if I move the footwell up, to here, it butts up against here, this little piece of metal right here can stick out underneath. You can see it right here. There's that back piece. Then here's the footwell, and then there's that piece, the new piece I'm putting in right now. So you can see, I don't know if that's just British engineering or what, but I've always worked on German stuff and everything needs to be perfect. So I have a feeling that this whole thing doesn't have to be absolutely perfect for it to work. But no, and I'm not knocking British cars or nothing, or the way they're constructed. I'm just saying, if with a fit like that, it just throws me off because I would think it would butt up against this thing and this would be longer to match up to it. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm just babbling. Okay, I'm going to weld. I'm going to do some spot welds through here, punch some holes through, and maybe I'll do some welds on the end, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I got this piece welded on there. I did spot weld here and here because of the way the other panel was. It had like little bumps cut into the corner, so I put the spot weld right on top. I tried to get as close as possible to where those bumps are. Then I did a spot weld here and here, and then I welded along the side, and then flip it over. I welded along here too. So that's all one piece. So it's slowly becoming all one door pillar. So the next thing I'm going to do is, where's the piece go? There it is. I'm going to weld in this top part. I'm going to weld that to the end there. Which you can see, if you can see here, this is where this door seal goes. On series trucks, you can see there's a little lip there, and it goes out and it's wide. These ones aren't, they're made for like Defenders and series trucks, so they make it to fit the Defender type seal, but we'll see how, if I get the door seals and see what I end up doing. Maybe I'll weld a lip along here, and that's not until the future, but this part here, I'm going to weld this in. And this is one thing, I don't know if this is normal or not, I don't even know. But you can see this gap right here. So that panel is straight, it's straight, and then it curves up like this. Which the top of the bulkhead actually has actually curves in. But if I line this up with the bolt holes, you can see it leaves like a gap right there. I don't know if that's normal or what, I don't even know. But I'm thinking about putting a piece of metal in there to go across, something to fill that gap up. So next thing is I'm going to bolt this on, and then I'm going to do some welds around it to put it in place. Also, I have been test fitting it onto the truck, and this fits on there pretty good. And it kind of, now that I welded everything, this isn't lining up 100% or anything, so we'll see. There's going to be a lot of banging and trying to get it in there. All right, next piece is this. I'm going to put this on. Okay, so I got this piece, top part all welded on. I did a few spot welds here. 1, 2, 3, and then I welded here and here and along. Now flip it over. Remember I mentioned that gap that was there? What I ended up doing is, this was already touching up here, but I ended up bending this down. You can kind of see, bending it down to reach the seal piece right here. So I bent that over, pounded this over, and I bent that. This is kind of my mark of where the curve starts curving up. And you can kind of see it there, how it curves up into it. So, also what I'm going to do, okay, I got that done. That piece is on. So the next thing is the Welding Wood. They sent me a picture, and they had a piece of metal inside here welded in. So what I think is it's like kind of like a bridge going across for some strength. So I'm going to make and weld in one of these pieces next. Okay, so I put the piece over there on the truck for a fit up, and I'll show you that in a second. But this piece here, I'm going to cut this off now, and this is the old door pillar, but this piece actually gets reused because this is what the windshield pivots on or mounts to. So I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to cut this off here around and clean it all up, and then this will be another test fit I'm going to do before the measurement between this mount and the other mount that's on the truck. So I'm going to cut this off now. All right, now I'm going to do a couple of measurements. Oh, jeez. Let's see. One hand with a tape measure. All right, let's give this a try. So here's a couple measurements I'm going to take from this down there to the crease going along. It's supposed to be 60 and a quarter. The bracket thing is in the way. So it's supposed to be 60 and a quarter to the edge down there. You see there? Let's see if I can point to it. Don't have enough hands. But right here at the edge of my, at the bottom of my, or the edge of the, oh geez, the edge of the tape measure, you can see it's just about 1/4 of an inch. It could probably go in just a little bit further, and right where that crease is. Okay, so then that's one measurement. We got the width. We got the width where we want to. So now we're going to go to the bracket that I just took off. And I measured from the inside of the windshield where the bracket is, and it comes to 58 7/8. You can see it there. Well, it's upside down, but 7/8. And then there's a spacer that goes in between it that is 1/8 inch. So that takes us to 59, and then we got 59 1/8. So then that gives us 1/8 of an inch play, give or take, play in between the brackets when they mount, where they mount. So right now I just have this bracket clamped on there. This is going to be one of the last things that I'll be putting on for this side. I have it just clamped here, and I'm actually going to put, whenever this gets welded in, I'm going to take this, bolt it to the windshield, put the windshield back in, and then put this bracket on. So that won't be down the line, but I wanted to see how close it was going to fit inside there. So I think I have the location of kind of where I want it to be. I'm going to do a couple more measurements before I start welding, but I'm going to, pieces that kind of weld together are right here. Or that's basically the beginning weld. Oh yeah, here's that piece of metal I put in between for support. Same as what I was told, I saw in there. Okay, so also there's a panel that goes on top of this, which I'm thinking I'm going to carve it out so it matches this, put it inside here and kind of get everything fit, and almost want to weld it all on there all together. And then here, I'll show you here. This is how I've been moving it. You see it pivots down here on the foot. What I do is take it like this as I'm measuring and I'm moving things around. Then I just rest it over here and I swing it right back up into position again. So I'm almost thinking I'm going to put the cover on here that goes on here, weld it all together in one, as in one piece, and then just pivot the whole thing up in. I put it right where I want it to be, and then just start welding everything up. Weld all along here, up in here, and over, and on the top. And like I said, inside here too. And I'm going to put a bracket inside here and weld this in here too, so it becomes all one piece. Also weld along the top as well. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to trim and cut the cover piece that's on here. Okay, so before I cut the cover piece, what I did is I took a piece of cardboard and traced the cut that I planned to make that goes along here. So then I'm going to take this and transfer it over to the panel. But I also, whenever I make templates like this, I give it a lot of leeway. Like there's a lot. I actually outline a little bit further out and everything, so there's extras so I can trim it to fit in this space. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here's the cover plate. It's going to be the finish off, kind of finished piece or whatever that's going to be on there. So I took this, and you can see I put a mark where the curve is, where the bend is. So what I did is I just kind of laid it on there and traced it on there. So this piece is going to be welded on, and this is getting cut off, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I trimmed this piece off here, and I also cut this off. I'm probably going to cut this off too. It was too hard to try to match these lines, so I'm just going to put in a new piece over here. So this piece tucks back behind the door panel, not the pillar, I mean. So I got some spot welds I'm going to weld here. So this is the outer skin on here. So I had to trim this a little bit to get it so it would bend this way towards us. And now I have this I fit this whole thing. I don't even know. I'm probably about 5 or 6 times I fit this on here. But I measured from here, this surface to that surface is 60 inches and a quarter. From this right across this crease. So if you measure from the crease from here to this surface here to that one, it should be 60 and a quarter inches. So that's where I'm sitting at right here. So what I'm going to do is take this all off, and I'm going to weld this piece. I'm going to show you the inside of it. Weld this piece, this is the outer skin, to the door pillar. So it'll actually all be one assembly whenever I go to put it on. And also, this point here is right in line with that point and the back point of the truck. So these points here line straight up. So they're perfect right where they're at. So this, I'm going to have to trim some more to get it to match up so it's smooth coming down here. So it's close right now, but it's not exact. But you can see this crease here and that crease, it lines right up with each other right now how it is. So I use the hinge to bolt this in, and it's bolted up against that. So I can still pull it out, and it's still all attached as in one assembly here. You can see I used a tool to make some spot welds so I could spot weld that bracket to the front piece. So I'm going to take this and weld all this all up. I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to put these spot welds on first and then go and push all this together. Alrighty. Okay, so this is all welded up all along here. I'm going to clean these welds up a little bit. So got weld across here. Did the spot welds behind. They go all the way down to here. Spot welded here. Back where this panel goes behind here, and I welded it all the way across here as well. You see there. So everything is there, and it's ready to be welded in along the body. Right here, this is up a little bit, but it's really not that bad as I thought it would be. But it's up there. I'm gonna fill all this in with weld and grind it smooth right from here up. The seam is still kind of staying in line. It's not really perfect, but oh well, what can I do? So I have the bottom loose, the bracket, so I could get the top part lined up here. So then I could just tighten up the bottom, and it should, when I bring this in, should just twist the top a little bit to straighten. It should straighten itself up whenever I tighten the bottom bolt in there. So it's been a long day. This is all in one day I did this. So I'm going to start actually welding it into the car itself, to the bulkhead. Alrighty. See you when it's welded. Okay, so welcome back to day 2 of the pillar install. Yesterday I did everything and all that in the video in one day. I was getting tired and loopy and losing my mind. So whenever I come back the next day fresh after a good night's sleep, I realize all the crap work that I did, and now I'm going to fix it. So alright, so you can see I got some welds here going. See, it's starting to blow through because this metal's thinner than this and it's old. So I got some welds here, and then as I was thinking last night, this part here for the windshield needs to be totally straight so the seal gets on there and flat. So I didn't weld this edge right here, or weld right here. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut this top piece off here, and so then I can make it straight the whole way down, flat, coming down. I'll weld a piece to here. And plus this little tab, this little bend over here, little curve in the pipe isn't there either in the plate. So I think I'm going to cut this off right here and then smooth it out and get it straight and put a curve in there and another piece of metal so then I can get that shape back. All right, so that's what I'm going to do now. This here, or maybe I'll be able to, well, I'll probably be able to clean all this up with the grinder or whatever. But I'm going to continue welding down here, straightening this up, and then making the piece that goes, that's going to go through here. You can see it's starting to bend. This is actually bending out to meet that, but you can't really get it to be, oh man, look at that. You can see there, it's not matching up with that, so we'll see how that goes. I'll fix that down here, but no one will ever see this. The fender comes up like this. It comes across, so you're not actually going to see. Actually, the fender comes up like this. It kind of goes across like this. So you actually, and then the hood comes across about to here. So you're not going to see any of this down here at all whenever the hood's closed. So up here, I would like to try to get this a little nice there. So, okay. All right, I'm going to cut the top off. Okay, I cut the top piece off here. I squared it around, took that off. So as I did that, came down and I made a patch for this, covered that in, made a patch for this, welded down, I put a little bend on it just to match this. I tried to, at least, well, it's curved down inside for strength. So I made this little piece have that little curve. Cleaned this, I welded all the way up to here. I took it the whole way up. And I still haven't ground up, but that'll be the next thing, is I'll grind these smooth. Also, I welded this in the whole way up. It's just horrible welds the whole way up, but they're in. It's in there, but the weld kept on going all around and it's swirling, and I couldn't get it to go straight. And plus this piece here is bent. It's not straight, so it looks horrible, but I'm going to try to clean it up, hopefully. Clean all these up a little bit. Okay, so next piece that I made after I welded this is I made this piece that comes up. It fills in that gap between this part that's over 1/4 of an inch with the door jamb. It's the door seal, the outside. So now this is all enclosed. So it's pretty much wrapped up besides cleaning welds and things like that. Oh, I got to make a piece right here too. So I'm thinking once I get done cleaning up all the welds, I'm just going to take core seal and pour it all down inside here and see if it goes all inside to stop the rust from the inside. So that's, I'm kind of glad that I cut the top off, because now I can just try to keep some type of rust preventer down inside there. So I got some rust treatment. It's a spray kind of sprayed it all inside here. It was pouring out of all these different crevices, and I can see it inside here and doing a bunch of stuff. So, and I sprayed it up that way all around inside, and it's pouring, it's actually dripping all around. So I don't know, I never used this stuff before, but I thought I'll give it a try. I had it on the shelf. Destroys rust on contact. So, and it says put multiple coats on, so I'm going to let this dry before I put in the final piece, which is this piece here. It's going to go up on top. I made the tab longer, then I'm just going to cut it off and trim it so it equals with that once I weld this in. But this will be the last piece to put in. Oh, also forgot to mention, this piece, when you weld this piece in, a little spacer, remember to make room for this guy to fit in that space with your piece that you welded in going across. There you can see the rust inhibitor too going through. It's pouring out everywhere, so that's good. All right, so door pillar is on completely, which is amazing. And it is solid too. It is not moving. It doesn't bend or curve or nothing. So I'm happy with what the result is. On this side, you see I cleaned up the welds, ground them down, ground down all the welds. These ones all along here. So they kind of look pretty good. So I'm going to call the door pillar done. I do have to weld that piece on, the top piece bracket, but that's not anything too difficult to do. So The main thing is that it's all on and it's complete. It's solid, bolted to the chassis. And the next part will be, I'm going to do the other pillar. I was thinking about doing the footwell here, but I don't want to unbolt this quite yet because it's still holding everything in place, along with the steering and everything on this side. So there won't be a more detailed video for this side because it's exactly the same as this. I'm going to do the exact same thing on that side. So I'm going to cut it off and do everything and measure and all that. So there you go. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. All right. Bye-bye.